find yourself having a lot of trouble trying to stay focused on the work that you have right now? Do you ever feel like you get so deep into your work that suddenly you have brain fatigue and you cannot focus anymore? Well, one of the ways that I found to be so helpful and has allowed me to stay focused and get my work done is the Pomodoro Technique. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Ademu Shoyo, and I help you get more time, life, and energy through meaningful and intentional productivity strategies. If you're unfamiliar with the Pomodoro Technique, it is by far one of my favorite time management strategies. And in today's video, we're going to dive into what it is, how to do it, and some of my personal best tips. If you're unfamiliar with the Pomodoro Technique, it was developed in the late 1980s, and it is this particular methodology that you divide the amount of time that you have to work into 25-minute intervals, and after each 25-minute interval, you take a shorter break. At the end of 3 to 4 25-minute intervals, you then take a longer break before you then go to your next 3 to 4 25-minute intervals. I found that this method is particularly helpful because not only does it kind of zero in and allow you to really focus on one single task at hand, and you know that you have a fixed window and a fixed time to do it, but it's also really helpful for prioritizing breaks throughout your work that you're doing. If you're working on something that could be particularly mentally exhausting and mentally stimulating or really intense, having those intervals and those opportunities that would allow you to take a little bit of a break to kind of refresh, take a step back before diving in again is really going to be helpful in terms of making sure that you can maximize your time effectively and making sure that you're working efficiently. One of the great things that I love about using the Pomodoro Technique is that you can literally use it for anything. You can use it for work, you can use it for your business, you can use it for doing chores around the house. Whatever it is that you know that you really just need to focus in and really lock in on and make in order to get it done, the Pomodoro Technique is great. And the amazing thing about it is that you can adjust the time intervals and make it work for what suits your needs. And it can just really help you start to better understand how you work, how long things typically take you, so you know how much time you may need to allocate for other things in the future. Another beautiful thing about the Pomodoro Technique is it's really the simplest to get started. All it really takes is 6 steps. The first thing you need to do is determine the task at hand. Before you set the timer, that is not the time for you to start figuring out, oh, what am I gonna do with this time? What am I gonna do with this time? No, you need to make sure you pick the task beforehand so you can really set the intention of what you will be doing with your Pomodoros. When you choose what task you want to work on, consider your energy levels, the amount of time you really have to kind of work through the different Pomodoro intervals, as well as any other deadlines or priorities that might make the task that you want to work on the task that you want to focus on first. If you watched one of my earlier videos when I talk about my weekly planning method, I always have my good goals, my better goals, and my great goals. And so when I'm sitting down to start working and I have a free time block to really be heads down and use the Pomodoro method, I always want to look to see, have I completed my good goals first? And if I have, then moving on to the better goals and then moving on to the great goals after that. The second thing you do is set a timer for 25 minutes. Now, there are tons of apps that you can use to do that. You can also just use your iPhone. You can use the clock on your computer. I use my Echo Dot sometimes, but you want to set a timer for 25 minutes and you proceed to do work undistracted with no interruptions. And this is the part where you can really play around with to kind of figure out what's best for you. For me personally, I like to do 27 minutes. If you feel like you can't, get to that point of focusing, then maybe consider doing like 15 or 20 minutes. But I will say the one thing that I recommend is not to go beyond 30 minutes, because once you kind of hit that 35 minute mark, I find that my brain personally starts to feel really fatigued, and then you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of working for a little bit and then taking some breaks in between. When you set that timer, it is really key that you are completely focused and completely zeroed in on what it is that you're doing with no distractions. The timer is supposed to signal a time for you to focus. It's supposed to allow you to really, get what you need to get done and really allow yourself to see what you can get done when you are dedicated and you're focused on one particular thing. So step 3 is really where you have to do the work. Now you're gonna dive in, do the work until the timer rings. And I really want to emphasize that you really use that timer to work without any distractions. Turn off your phone, remove any of the tabs that you might have opened on your computer, and just really zero in and drill down on what it is that you need to do. Because at the end of the day, like, the whole point of using the Pomodoro technique is to focus, and setting that timer is what is going to enable you to really trigger your mind to, let's focus. Like, let's just do this for the next 25 minutes, and then we can take a break and catch up with things afterwards. That leads me to my 4th step, which is taking a short break. There's a lot of things that you could do during this break, but the main thing that you want to make sure that you are doing is taking a step back from what you're working on. So making sure that you're actually taking the break, and making sure that the break that you're taking has nothing to do with what it is that you're working on at hand. So it is a true and proper break. Another thing that I also recommend is that you make sure that you're not doing things that would also drain your mind and also make you even more tired. So I don't really recommend that you get on social media too much during your break, or you spend all of your break, especially the longer break, just being on social media, because it's really gonna drain you and it's not gonna make you that motivated to kind of continue on and doing the work that you need to do. And so once you've done the 25-minute interval and then taking a short break a few times, after the 3rd or 4th round, that's when you're gonna take the longer break. And so that break could be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how your intervals were working. And that's where you can really start to do even more other things, like doing a load of laundry, or you can, respond to some emails or respond to some Slack messages. You want to just make sure that you don't go too far on the break end and just kind of abandon all of your work. But this kind of gives you that time to really reset and maybe plug back into some of the other things that you were ignoring while you were heads down doing the work that you needed to do. And then once you've done that a few times, you just kind of keep repeating the process until the task is complete. Now, in a given workday, you may only have a window where you can only do the Pomodoro technique for maybe about 2 hours, and so maybe you'll have to work on it next time. You want to just keep going, keep iterating, making sure that the tasks that you're setting the tone for to work within each interval is something that is actually feasible to do at a time. You have this really big overarching goal, for example, maybe you just use the Pomodoro method to kind of do one part of that big overarching goal and kind of continue and work your way around what you need to get done. So I know you've probably gotten to the point of this video and you're probably wondering, does the Pomodoro technique really work? And I'm here to tell you, as someone who swears by this technique, that it is probably one of the most effective time management strategies that I've ever used to date, because it really kind of reduces the overwhelm, the distracting thoughts. It helps me be able to really zero in and lock in on what it is that I want to be focusing on at that given moment. And I've shared in a previous video about how sometimes we think that we can be really big multitaskers and, we can just get so much done within a given time. The reality of it is a lot of us are actually horrible multitaskers. We should be just taking the time to really just focus on one thing at a time, and because that's going to be the most efficient and that's what's going to keep us the most productive. And then also, because using the Pomodoro technique prioritizes taking breaks, when you're using it, you know that you're able to kind of keep going and kind of keep working on things, because you're giving yourself and your brain enough time to sort of reset for a little bit and refresh before diving into the next thing or the next goal that you have going on. If I haven't convinced you enough by telling you about how it works or telling you what it does, let me just be the first person right now in this video to let you know that the Pomodoro Technique is it. Try it right now and it'll definitely change your life. I've also heard from people who are neurodivergent or have ADHD, for example, that also find the Pomodoro Technique to be very beneficial because they're able to sort of reduce the amount of distractions that they're able to have, and the breaks that that people take in between actually helps them sort of reset and recenter before they kind of tackle the next thing. If you're someone who is neurodivergent, I definitely recommend trying this technique out, playing with it a little bit to kind of see what fits and what doesn't, and then making those next decisions accordingly. For me, some of the benefits that I have seen with implementing the technique, as well as hearing from other people how they have found using the Pomodoro Technique for them, is that they have an increased creativity because they're allowing themselves to free their mind and just sort of think a little bit more outside of the box by not being so focused in all the time. The second thing is they have better work-life balance because they know that they have this block of time to really focus on the core work that needs to get done, and then after they're done they can relax and just enjoy what they have going on for the rest of the day. The third thing I've seen, and this is something for me, is improved focus and concentration. The minute I turn the timer on, I know that I am ready to get focused and get to work. And I've really just been able to see just how much I can get done in such a fixed time span that really helps me keep pushing forward and really achieving and working towards my goals. Another thing that I've seen is people have better self-awareness. So when you're currently and always using the Pomodoro Technique, especially for tasks that you're doing often, you're really able to sort of get a better gauge on how long it's going to take you to complete specific tasks. That is one of the most beneficial things that I found to really kind of better allocate my time and better plan my days, because I know how long something is going to take and I can sort of just move things around accordingly. And the last thing I've also seen is just the flexibility and the adaptability of the Pomodoro Technique. It is one of the most easiest techniques and time management strategies to really just get started on and get started doing, and you can also adjust it to what it really suits your needs and your wants. So for me, for example, like I said a timer for 27 minutes and then I work for 7-minute intervals, and then I do that for 3 rounds before taking a longer break, because I found that that's all the capacity that I have when using the Pomodoro method, but it still allows me to get the work done and I'm able to kind of just cater it to what it is that I want. When you have a better understanding of your time, you're able to understand what it is that you need to be focusing on, and that's going to help you become more productive. And when you're able to be more productive, you're going to be able to really get all of the things that you need to get done and really start working towards your goals. Now, I know that you've already heard me talking about the Pomodoro method and how much I love it, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't tell you about some of the disadvantages that come with maybe choosing the Pomodoro Technique as your top time management strategy. So let's dive into it. So the first thing is that the Pomodoro Technique isn't necessarily the best for all task types. For example, if you're working on brainstorming or something that's really more in like the creative space, having a timer might not really help you get into the creative flow right away, or you might find that right in the middle of your timer that you're actually starting to really move the needle, and then taking a break would kind of get you out of that. Use the Pomodoro Technique for tasks that kind of work in terms of like things that you want to check off, things that you just need to get done, and leave kind of more of the free-flowing types of tasks to other types of time management strategies. Another thing is, for some people, the Pomodoro Technique can be too rigid. Like I said, there's a very high emphasis on setting a timer and making sure that you are working with the timer. So if you're not working with it, then or if you don't find that the timing of everything it's a little too much structure for you, then I definitely don't recommend it. This is future me realizing that past me never recorded an outro video for this video, but thanks so much for watching this video. If you would like more videos like this on how to better manage your time and be more effective, be sure to hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments down below what more you'd like to see. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.